Hi, Heidi Ho. My name is Laszlo, and welcome back to this dark room that I live in. I hope you enjoy your stay as I ramble on for about 15 minutes about a topic that is not really interesting but appeals to a group of people, and so I ramble on anyways. It's a good day today. The sun is shining, I think. The birds are chirping, I hope. And I'm stuck inside. Before I start with the topic of this video, I just want to thank everyone for the support on last video. It was a big jump for me to stand in front of this camera and just talk instead of hiding in my room and speaking to my mic like a crazy person. Not that that's a bad thing to do, but having a camera in front of me just makes me feel like we're having a conversation, which is kind of the vibe I'm going for. I say something funny, I put up a laugh board, and you consequently laugh. It's a conversation, you know? But genuinely, thank you for the support, and I now get to talk about anime. Reusing jokes, and it's already my second video. For every video before this one, I've just gone off of my instinct of what I want to talk about at that moment. Things like me just finishing Octopath Traveler, a show that was airing or is about to air, just random things going on in my mind, usually related to what I'm doing and or watching at the time. All this to say, I have no idea why I'm making this video. I think I just have this obsession with weird shows or genres in anime. Like, I look at the profile picture girl trend that's going on right now, and I'm just enamored with how weird that all these shows got so popular. One of these trends that I recently found myself at the bottom of is something called the Magic Academy trend. I have no idea if that's actually what they're called. I'm just making this up as I go along. It's a trend that started popping up around 2010 and only lasted for about 6 years. The main concept of these shows are that they take place in a school that is made to teach kids some specific set of skills. Whether it be magic, wizardry, or any sci-fi robot, the school is built around that skill and improving it. You've probably thought of at least one of these shows, along with the shows that I've been showing. And after a few days of just pure curiosity, I finally caved. I sat down and I watched a few of them. And here is what I learned. Absolutely nothing. It's been a week since I started working on this video, and I've watched a total of 12 unique shows, which is roughly 48 hours of watch time. I know what the genre is, I've watched different versions of it, but the only thing I learned is how short my attention span is. I'm being a little rough. I think it's fair to say that these shows aren't trying to make a statement. Most of them are fantasy comedies, so they're not going to be the most progressive topics. I wasn't expecting a commentary on the socioeconomic struggles of the working class of Japan. I just wanted to sit down and see a few shows in this trend. In any trend of anime, you have to try and differentiate yourself from the other shows doing something similar. Also, my light went off. The isekai trend does this by changing the person who gets isekai'd, or the world that the guy gets isekai'd to. It's not the most unique, but they do an okay job at changing it up from time to time. Mecha really defined itself by its robots, what they were, how they were made, and most importantly, what they were using these robots to fight. Because of this fight for attention, there are some shows that go above and beyond by injecting some more into the show. Look no further than Neon Genesis Evangelion's use of depression, or Konosuba's excellent comedy. Sadly, the same cannot be said for the Magic Academy trend. Sure, there are shows that are popular. Infinite Stratos is the most popular one, but even that show doesn't subvert expectations. It just does a better job at satiating those expectations, you know? Watching these shows felt like I was in Groundhog Day. I was watching the same thing over and over again with the slightest variation. I want to prove my point, not just say they feel the same, but actually prove with evidence and research. For our viewing convenience, I've gone ahead and made 2 spreadsheets. Green signifies that the anime in question has this aspect, and by process of elimination, red means that the show does not have that aspect. The first one is just to get an idea of all the genres that a show has. It's not that interesting, but you'll notice that this entire row is green. This one is pretty full, and this also has quite a few green. Now, the second spreadsheet cross-references all the Academy anime that I watched to the Magic Academy tropes, a list that I curated myself. In order to prove that I wasn't actually repeating the same day over and over again, I made this spreadsheet just to see how similar these shows were, and so you can probably see there is a whole lot of green. Now, you might be asking, Laszlo, a graph doesn't convey the nuances of the show, and that each instance of these are in fact the same. dormitory BS is pretty vague. Like, surely each of these shows have a different take on dormitories in a magic school setting, right? Okay, what about ambushed at a mall? That can't be consistent across all of these anime. Nuance is a myth. Why do these shows copy each other? Now, to further prove my point, let's look at a side-by-side of two different anime, Chivalry of a Failed Knight and the Asterisk War. Episode starts with a flashback from a few years before the story takes place. Both are relevant to why these characters are going to this school. The main character, a dark-haired male wearing a white suit, walks into a school while someone narrates about the main concept of the magic system. At exactly, and I mean exactly, 2 minutes and 30 seconds in the episode, the main character ends up walking into a dorm room. Nothing too fancy except there's a pink-haired girl changing in there. Yes, the trope of seeing girls naked. Comedy. Because of this, the pink-haired girl challenges them to a duel for honor, or something like that, I don't quite remember. The duel starts and the pink-haired girl reveals that she is one of the best fighters in the academy, and that the loser main character has no chance to win. Pink-haired girl whips out her sword and she has some kind of fire-based attack, except our main character somehow dodges all of the attacks. And then the average skilled dark-haired protagonist wins. Well, kinda. In Chivalry of a Failed Knight, Iki, the main character, does actually win. But in the Asterisk War, Ayato, the main character of that anime, is about to win when the duel gets interrupted. Not only are the stories eerily similar, but the visuals are as well. Regular sword wielder against a fire magic swordswoman isn't the most riveting. The rest of the season is fairly similar as well. Regular school life for a few episodes before a school-wide tournament starts, and then tournament shenanigans ensue. They also have really bad endings, but at least Asterisk War has a season 2. That I'm not gonna watch. But you get the idea. Even though I cherry-picked these two anime, the rest of them are not that unique either. And also, if I had a nickel for every time there was a bunny-themed girl that's extremely playful at first but actually has some nefarious intentions, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice. The full graph is up on my Twitter, at WhoIsLaslo, always be plugging. It's really funny to look at these and just see how ununique these shows are. But enough of that. One of the shows that actually prompted me to make this video is a little show called Infinite Stratos. I've talked about it before, but we're fully delving into it now. While not technically magic, the story revolves around a sci-fi technology called the Infinite Stratos, which are these mechs that attach to the user as they pilot them around. You've probably seen this show, as bad as it is. Infinite Stratos was a large reason why this genre got so popular. It came out in 2011 before the large wave of Magic Academy anime came out, around 2015. It's hard to say if this was the sole reason that this genre got popular, as shows like Familiar F-Zero came out 5 years before this, and another show called Arya the Scarlet Ammo also came out in 2011. Either way, Infinite Stratos is the most popular Magic Academy anime, so I felt some obligation to cover it in this video. So I watched it. Boy, did I watch it. As much as I want to try and just out of the gate call it bad, I think the show actually has some good bones. The IS as a concept is interesting. The only people that can pilot them are girls. But they actually give an interesting reason as to why this is. The creator Tabune Shinonono wanted to give girls wings, presumably because of the very blatant patriarchy that's commonplace in all countries in the world, Japan included. As to raise the social standing of women with that doesn't matter, they never talk about it in the anime. I think one of the large flaws with Infinite Stratos and the Magic Academy genre as a whole is that they try to balance so many different things at one time. It is an action, comedy, ecchi, horror, mecha, sci-fi school concoction that flips between the hee-hee-ha-ha funny ecchi moments in the school with the high-impact action sci-fi, and the balance between the two isn't very harmonious. There's one moment in episode 10 where the students are on a beach trip with their whole class, and they gather around in a room sitting on their knees. You've probably seen something similar to this. They make a few jokes about how the British girl doesn't know how to sit properly, and instead of sitting in a more comfortable way, she resorts to getting fed by Orimura. I feel like sitting properly and your ability to eat by yourself are two very independent things, and there is no crossover. I don't know, I guess it's the best thing that they could do because they already did the can't use chopsticks trope a few episodes earlier. Quick, an unmanned IS unit is heading rapidly towards the island, and the only people who are going to stop it are the students on this island, so we quickly have to assemble a plan to try and take it down. You know, that kind of pacing. It's at the root of a lot of different Magic Academy anime, actually, and one of the reasons I think that these shows don't really last as a conversation piece in the greater anime community. When you split up what it means to be a Magic Academy anime, you get the magic and then you get the school. Independent from each other, you can create an entire story. Just look at Horimiya or Full Metal Alchemist. They succeed in doing one very well. Mixing those two things together can and will be successful, just not the way that Infinite Stratos and the majority of other Magic Academy anime do. My Hero Academia is quite literally a Magic Academy anime, and that show is so popular because of how it mixes its magic with its academy. Where IS is stuck in this metronome swinging one side to the other, My Hero blends those two sides. Instead of having a happy field trip flip into a military operation, they make the villains plan to attack during that field trip because it's the best time to do it. Am I making sense to y'all? It's weird to explain because I feel like I'm saying the same thing twice, but it's that minute difference that makes or breaks my enjoyment of a show. The jarring flip-flop slowly became the biggest problem I had with these shows. Not that they're repetitive or that their concepts were usually boring or even the over-the-top ecchi most of them had, it was the sporadic nature of these shows that annoyed me most. Now, just between you and me, I had a fun time watching these shows. I'll be honest and say that this was not my first time watching these shows, but it has been a while since I did. For reference, the majority of these shows came out when I was roughly 15, either that or I watched them when I was 15. Now picture a little, well, I was still tall, but a little 15-year-old me, just getting out of high school, just getting into high school. Yes, I graduated at 15 years old. Of course I was gonna like it. I ended up watching Infinite Stratos a few times. It was amazing. It somehow made me like a French person. Looking back on it now, it's kind of a baby's first interesting story, and the statement kind of resonates with me and how I think these shows are today. They're definitely targeted towards an amateur audience with the school setting and very apparent use of ecchi, harem, and comedy. But there's another aspect where you get like really interesting technology like the IS, or a cool magic system like in Worldbreak Aria of Curse for the Holy Swordsman. Like I said earlier, it's the stepping stone that leads you to more interesting anime, while also being the point of no return, because once you watch this, there's no going back. And that's not a bad thing. Thank you for watching. My name is Laszlo, but you won't remember that. See ya.